Welcome to the Maura Sweeney Podcast. Maura is an international speaker, Huffington Post contributor, and the trademarked ambassador of happiness. In 10 minutes or less, Maura weaves clever anecdotes, insightful questions, and personal stories to challenge your mindsets and enable you to live happier from the inside out. Here's Maura with today's podcast for you.
Have you ever experienced loss that got you to gain? Well, if you're on a path to living happy from the inside out, you'll definitely want to listen in to today's podcast, Experiencing Loss Only to Discover Gain. Oftentimes, we struggle with any notion of loss, and losses can show up in any one of a number of ways. Many of us will hold on to things we don't even like because we're afraid of the idea of loss, thinking that there's nothing on the other side of it. I want to give you 3 examples of loss that translated into gain that covered my life and that also share a number of different experiences that are all relatable to the human condition. The first one happened just this past weekend. We lost one car, at least for several days. And secondly, we lost our water heater, and therefore not only just hot water, but we lost all water in our house, again for several days over the same period of time. Well, during that weekend, you would think maybe I would say, oh, this is a terrible thing. Oh, I wanted to go to the gym and now I can't go because my husband has something else he's got to do at the same time. Now, where am I going to shower? How am I going to shower? I'm so inconvenienced. How am I going to cook, go to the bathroom, whatever? That can be perceived as loss. But do you want to know something funny that happened to me this weekend? Is when I realized that I might not be able to go to a gym class. Instead, I thought, you know what? I'm just going to put my sneakers on. I will load up in my backpack a change of clothing, everything I need for the shower, hair straightener, whatever, and walk 2.5 miles to the local gym. I no sooner got outside and I thought, oh my goodness, what a gorgeous day. The birds are chirping. I could see Tampa Bay. The weather is beautiful. People are on their bicycles. There were local people around with their little kids, and people are saying hello. And I thought, oh, I am experiencing nature, which I normally miss out on when I'm driving to the gym in my car. Plus, I'm experiencing interacting with people that normally I would miss when I was in my car. But there was one other big thing that came to mind. I thought, wait a minute. Here I am walking 2.5 miles that on the way back will transfer into 5 miles worth of walking with a backpack on. And in the middle, I get to go to my favorite Zumba class that'll last an hour. And I thought, I can't believe that at my age, I am in such good health. And I felt so grateful that at a point where I didn't have a car to drive to the gym or even a shower to shower in, but I had one at the gym, that I could go to feeling so incredibly grateful for things like health, things like the outdoors, things like the birds chirping, nature. That was a simple supposed loss that showed me how often losses can translate into gains, especially gains we're unaware of. Let me give you 2 other experiences I went through in life that you may relate to as well. I was in my mid-20s, and my husband and I were working at the same firm. We were at an executive search firm where we were searching for candidates that would fill client positions for clients that had new openings in their corporations. As it turns out, both of us were fired from that position when the economy took a downturn. And I remember my ego was really hurt, like, wow, who is this guy to fire me? I was actually on unemployment at the time, and I will tell you, it definitely hurt my ego. Well, surprisingly, during that time, my husband ended up getting a job offer at a major corporation here in Florida. Florida was a place I always wanted to move to, and had I been employed back in New Jersey, and my husband got a job offer in Florida, I probably would have been a little bit guilty to move south. Instead, I was free to move to the place I always wanted to go to, and that was a good gain that came as a result of it. I'll tell you, beyond that, I spent another 6 weeks with resume in hand every single morning going out looking for a job that back then here in Florida didn't exist. I ultimately did get an even better position, but I look back at that time that really was maybe critical to my ego and found out that I discovered strength, tenacity, the ability to keep going in the midst of a lot of rejection. And that for me was growth and gain. And the third thing I want to share with you had to do with a health issue. I was clearly of adult age, and I was facing some, in my own mind, let's say, some surgery, some unknown surgery that frightened me to my core. I was so concerned about, first of all, going to a hospital thinking, what are they going to find when they open me up? And I had always been afraid of doctors and hospitals and death. I mean, terribly so, from early childhood. So if you can imagine, I was struggling beyond belief, that to the point where I didn't even know where to put myself, and I wanted to crawl out of my skin. And yet, several days before I went in for surgery, I had been somewhere and I ran into a man that my husband knew. Now, this man was an older gentleman. He could have been 6'5", 6'7", and he was built like a giant teddy bear. I didn't know him well, but when he saw me, he gave me a hug. He said some things to me. I don't remember what he said, and it had to do with my impending surgery. And yet, I'll tell you what I remember so vividly to this day was what that man's hug did for me. His hug was so unexpected. It touched me at my cellular level. And what I felt from him was such deep compassion and, moreover, a tangible, unbelievable feeling of love. And there were several people that reached out to me then, and they were unexpected people. And I really felt such love during a time that was really a great challenge for me. That would have been another opportunity when in the midst of impending loss, fear of loss, something in my life that was changing, I actually gained in great ways. And I actually believe at that time when that man gave me that big bear hug, that was something not only that I needed because of surgery, but I believe that it was something that my life and my very soul needed. So where are you in life? Are you looking at something from mere inconvenience to something that's life-threatening? From something that is bothering your ego, let's say, to something that's hurting you socially? There are many ways in which we can perceive loss, but there are also so many ways that we can see gain. I hope wherever you are today, you will refashion your mind, your thoughts, and even your emotions, and go from feelings of loss to an anticipation of some gain that is awaiting you. And that's been my thought for you today on Living Happy from the Inside Out. But before we go, let's tune in, because there's someone else who wants to share with us what makes them happy from the inside out too. This has been Maura with More for You.
Christina here from Savvy Business Radio from Brooklyn, New York, in the house. And what makes me happy is community and bringing people together and sharing their message. That's what makes me happy.
For more insights on living happy from the inside out, subscribe to this podcast. To learn more about Maura, visit her moraforyou.com website, where you'll find videos, blogs, books, and the Foundations of Happiness self-study e-course. Maura, 4, letter U.com, where Maura is always for you.